going into this movie, I was a little bit skeptical. I had been watching the trailers that had been coming out, and at first it was a little bit deceiving to me because when it first came on, it has like this "Make America Great Again" hat, and so I'm like, oh, we're gonna be seeing stuff about Trump. I was kind of interested. Okay, how are they gonna do this? And then as other trailers started to come out, it definitely wasn't necessarily that. I mean, it figuratively it kind of was, but it definitely didn't focus on Trump at all. But it definitely had some Trump-isms to it, we'll say. So, I read some reviews online to kind of see what other people was thinking or, saying about the movie first. And there was a lot of bad stuff out there. People who said it was the worst one, only giving it 1 star, saying it was a waste of time, don't waste your money. And so I wasn't sure if I was going to go see it, but I had to go see it because I've seen all the other Purges, so it just only felt right. Plus it had Yalan in there from Insecure, and I do like him. So I wanted to definitely support a film that he was starring in. Initially, when I looked at the reviews, a lot of people were saying that, it's just a bunch of propaganda, it's just, left-wing BS. And so I kind of went in, expecting a lot of just, over-the-top stuff. Now, it was over the top, but this movie, I think, what it did, I think, to some people was it either scared them or it made them angry, and so they didn't like it. But what this film actually did, because, a lot of stuff, propaganda is over the top. But what this movie actually set it up to where this actually became something that could possibly happen in the future, right? Because, we're a civilized society, having a purge night just seems totally, ridiculous, And it always had been watching the other ones. But, you kind of go along with it. You suspend belief, whatever. But the way it set it up with, how the new founding fathers came about actually made it a lot more plausible. So the way they set it up is that, people are tired of the Republican Party. They're tired of the Democratic Party. They're tired of the whole two-party system. And so that basically breeds the coming of this new party, the new founding fathers of America. And so this party is, guaranteeing that they're not going to be like, either of these other two parties, that they're going to basically make America great again, right? That whole mentality, give back the American dream to the people. And so people, buy into that, and these people become, president and, control of Congress and all this other stuff. And they start to realize that, whoa, the country is actually in some pretty deep doo-doo right now where, we can't pay for anything, have to keep borrowing stuff, we're overpopulated, resources are kind of, becoming more and more scarce, and so they come up with this purge night to, basically, shrink the population so that America is manageable again. They can start, cutting different entitlements or what have you, so that, they can start to decrease the deficit, and create a surplus. It's less people, so, there's less demand on different resources, more jobs, available, different things like that. And so who are the people that are going to, shrink? Are the people who need those assistance, those entitlements, if you will. So the impoverished population. And so that's how it all starts off, is how this actually came to be. And so I think prefacing the whole story with that actually made it to where you didn't have to suspend belief that much, because a lot of what they were actually saying is actually true. Another thing I liked was just I like the fact that it came from, the minority's perspective. The lead character was not, that white guy from the other ones, right? It was actually a black man. So I like the fact that, okay, we're getting a story from the opposite end, from someone who's actually in the situation versus someone who's just kind of coming in and saving the day. So I definitely like that they took that road with this story, and I like the fact that it was a black man, trying to do his part to save his community, which is something that recently we've been seeing more of, especially since the success of Black Panther and different things like that. But just to kind of see a black man in that role, for me, obviously being African American, was something that was significant and something that I enjoyed. And I think the character development was pretty good too. I think in comparison to all the other ones, this one to me had the most depth to the character. Not saying that they were just the most developed characters ever, but I think comparison to the other Purges, the characters' motivations were definitely developed by just the plot and then just their overall development as who is this character, why are they doing the things that they're doing, and the story definitely showed the audience who the person was, and it gave that motivation as to why they do the things that they do in the actual film. I also like that they actually had some comedic relief in there, which is something that the other ones didn't have as much. There's a young lady who's a friend of the sister. She kind of comes in every now and again just to kind of, give you a little bit of a moment where you can kind of laugh and kind of be like, okay, I can actually smile even though, some crazy stuff going on. And I like the fact that it really just kind of showed, I feel, some of the goodness in humanity. Because a lot of times we see just how people are terrible people, they're, with the other ones especially, people are just evil people, right? So with this one, when the Purge first starts, spoiler alert, right, the people aren't really purging. Like, they're just like, they're committing, petty crimes, like, trying to bust open a ATM or bust open a store or something like that, which is still bad, but they're not trying to purge as far as kill people. And so that is the main thing that the whole Purge night is supposed to be about, is reducing the population by letting people kill each other. And at the beginning, they're not killing each other. They're having a good time. They're partying with each other. They're dancing in the streets, having block parties. And it's like the government is like, what is going on? People are supposed to be killing each other. Humans are evil people. They want to do evil naturally. Why are they having a good time and, like, not killing? And so I like the fact that they kind of, to me, showed, that humans aren't necessarily innately just bad. Like, they want to kill people. They just really want to survive, which is basically the whole reason why people even stayed in the city while this whole Purge thing was going on, was because the government said they were going to pay them money. And so they focused on the impoverished community. So, of course, a lot of them are like, oh, you're going to pay me $5,000 for just staying home for one night? Absolutely, I'll stay home and have a party and do whatever. And so when the government sees that people are really just trying to make it, it's not really about being bad people, which I think a lot of times, even as humans, we automatically expect the worst out of people. And so, even with, the crime rate in Chicago, for example, people just expect people to be killing people in Chicago because people are just bad people, right? But I don't think that's necessarily the case either, personally, and this film actually shows you that actually that's not the case. People get put in desperate situations, and then that basically sparks them to act out of character and do things that are bad. The action scenes were pretty good. It's a lot of gore. The people who I went to the movies with were just like jumping. Every little jump scare, they were like hopping out of their seat. But I feel like this one, in my opinion, was a little bit less gory than like the other ones. Particularly I think the last one with the election. That one was like over the top gore, and just kind of like unnecessarily. And so with this one, I feel like they kind of toned it down a lot. A lot of the killings were just kind of like group people getting sprayed, and they just kind of fall out. Versus in the other ones, like you were seeing, a lot of people just getting, stabbed and just a lot of brutality. Versus this one, it has some of that in there, but definitely not to the same degree as some of the previous ones. I love films that kind of have like overtones of like social issues and different things like that. So I feel like that's what really made me like this movie, was that it had that in there. And one of the things that was kind of funny, and I think I was the only one in the theater that got this joke, which is sad to me. But there's a scene where the girl, the sister's looking for her brother because he's out, purging and stuff like that, and somehow she gets caught up in this little rope trap, and so she's sliding, and the person's sliding her down into a sewer. And he comes out of the sewer. He's like kind of grabbing at her, and so he ends up grabbing at her her private parts. And she's kicking him off, and finally she finds her mace, and then she maces him, and she's like, "Oh, get off me, you little pussy grabber!" And so obviously that's a direct swipe at Trump, who admitted that he grabs women by the JJ. And, I was dying laughing at this part, and nobody else was laughing. And so I was just like, what is going on? But, where I live. But, yeah, I love movies like that. I think it's cool. And I think that's one of the powerful things of film, is just to be able to use it as a tool to talk about social issues, and then to offer solutions to help resolve these social issues that we have. So I like the film. So overall, I would give this one a 7 out of 10, only because some of the acting and some of the parts were a little bit hokey, particularly with the sister who was looking for her brother. Like some of the dialogue just felt a little bit forced. It wasn't terrible. She definitely did, I think, a very decent job. It was just maybe even just the script, possibly in these certain parts where it just didn't seem as natural. So, yeah, overall, I think it was a great movie. I definitely recommend you seeing it. Again, it does have those, political overtones to them. So if you're someone that's easily offended by stuff like that, just be prepared. But overall, I think the story is pretty good. And like I said, they set it up to where it actually feels like this could happen in real life. All right, thank you. This is Crystal Bowden, and this is my review of The First Purge.